Hey everybody, it's Jeff Antoniuk. Welcome to Digging Deeper Jazz. Well, I've got some big news for you today. I've got some colossal news and of course a great video. So let's talk about the great video first. Minor pentatonic scale. Our old buddy, the minor pentatonic scale. I want to show you how to breathe some new life into this. Now, about a month ago, I showed you how to use the minor pentatonic scale on, of all things, a major 7 chord. So today we're going to look at altered tonalities. The minor pentatonic is a very consonant sounding scale. So yeah, it's a very, sort of inside melodic sounding scale, but we can use it in very interesting ways to get altered sounds on dominant chords. So why would we do this? And the idea is what I just said, the melodic nature of the pentatonic scale versus the very oftentimes not so melodic nature of altered playing and on dominant chords. So what we can do is use the strength of the organization of a minor pentatonic, and by the way, the fact that you maybe know the minor pentatonic scale, and then use it to help us get these more advanced altered sounds. It's a very, very cool approach, something I wish I would have paid attention to like 25 years ago. It probably would have made my life easier, but that's what I do here at Digging Deeper Jazz. I try to make your life easier because I had to suffer for a long time figuring this stuff out, or actually just listening to a lesson that I was taught 25 years ago. It finally sank in a little later. That's what I do here. Okay, so hint of 2 little big announcements. Little big announcements? Yeah, let's call them little big announcements. Here's the little one. I'm doing another webinar next week, Wednesday, May 20th at 1 o'clock New York City time, right here on the, if you're watching YouTube, live on the YouTube channel. You don't have to register or anything like that. You just jump on at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, May 20th. We're going to be talking about this video and any of the previous Digging Deeper videos. We did a webinar about a month ago and had about 600 people, I think, on and asking questions. It was a really fantastic thing. So just put it in your calendar and show up. And that's kind of all you need to do. You can type in questions to us. It'll be a blast. And the huge, crazy news coming up in just a minute. I want to talk about this minor pentatonic stuff a little bit. Look at the sheet and you can see the lowly minor pentatonic scale. So I called it the lowly pentatonic scale, but it's the awesome pentatonic scale. So many of the songs, whether it's jazz or pop or funk or rock or impressionist classical music, uses this scale. It's a fantastic scale to know. And I put the recipe underneath the scale. 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, up to the root, the 8 or the 1. So know that recipe, and it's relative to a major scale. So if you know the B flat major scale, now here we see the B flat minor pentatonic scale. So step 1 is, of course, learn this scale. There's nothing more usable for you as a jazz musician. So now here's the trick. We see dominant chords a lot. We see 2-5-1s a lot. So as jazz musicians, we're called upon to play dominant chords. Dominant chords are where the tension lives in a progression. This is a big deal if no one's put it to you like this before. This is going to be a very cool way to get some of those extensions into our playing, some of those altered sounds into our playing, but do it in a melodic way. So that's what we're here to do today. So here's the pretty cool news. Start with the not cool news. The COVID virus is going on. Everything is canceled. Every gig on earth is canceled tonight. Every tour of every major musician is not happening. Every tour of every not major musician, right? I don't have to tell you this. It's a terrible situation in so many ways. Well, you've heard me talk about Maryland Summer Jazz, the summer camp for adult amateur musicians here in the Washington, D.C. area that I've done now for 16 years this year. Well, we've decided this week we're doing it virtually. Maryland Summer Jazz Virtual Edition. So we have 2 4-day sessions coming up. So here's the thing, there is a ton we can do together. One of the good news things is of the 10,000 or so of you that are going to see this video, most of you are not in the Washington, D.C. area. Many of you are not in North America. You can, for the first time, attend Maryland Summer Jazz. There is so much cool stuff we're going to do. This is not going to be some retreaded version over video of what we usually do at Maryland Summer Jazz. This is reinvented from the ground up. So check out who we have on faculty. Branford Marsalis. Yeah, Branford is going to do a day with us. Jeff Coffin from the Dave Matthews Band. Ingrid Jensen on trumpet. Matt Wilson on drums. Rick Margitza, Miles Davis's last saxophone player. Wycliffe Gordon, trombone player with Wynton Marsalis. So it's all going to be done via Zoom conference. And these folks want to talk to you. So it's an astounding opportunity. So I want you to make your way to MarylandSummerJazz.com. We're already 2/3 sold out. We only have 40 spots for the first session, which is July 15 through 18. We have 40 spots for the second session, July 22nd through 25. So these things are going to be gone pretty quickly. I would love to have you there. It's all going to be done virtually. It's all going to be done on the Zoom video platform. And believe it or not, it works great. We've come up with a system where we're going to be playing a bunch together in the manner that we can play together, and so much information. So I'm thrilled about this and can't believe the special guest faculty that we have. And this is in addition to the amazing core faculty. It's exciting. You can tell I'm excited. Okay, so let's get back to this minor pentatonic thing. So first thing, we have to know minor pentatonic. Great, you've got B-flat minor pentatonic. So here's the interesting, weird little conversion we do. When you see a dominant chord, you're going to play the minor pentatonic built on the flat 3 of the dominant chord. Okay, so if you see a G7 chord, what's the flat 3 of G7? G, A, B, B flat. So you count up 3 notes, B flat. So what I'm suggesting is when you see a G7, you play a B flat minor pentatonic. So look on the sheet. Item number 2 has that B flat minor pentatonic scale written out against a G7 chord. Now, the numbers that you see underneath the scale are now the numbers relative to a G chord. So what is B flat relative to a G7? Some of you may say a flat 3rd, but we'll call it a sharp 9, an extension. What is that D flat? Sharp 11. We have the sharp 5. We have the flat 7. We have the flat 9. So all of the extensions are there for us. So it's this very, very interesting kind of luck of the draw thing, that the notes that happen to be in that minor pentatonic, when we put it in that strange place, up a minor 3rd from the dominant chord, we get a lot of the really pertinent notes from the altered scale or the Superlocrian scale or some of these fancy scales. But here's the thing. I think this is actually more valuable than thinking about those altered scales. They have a couple extra notes. So why would we think about this one? Again, because it's such a melodic sound. Those skips in the scale, in a pentatonic scale, is what makes it sound melodic. I just rattled around the scale, not tons of organization really, but it sounded like a melody. It sounded like a lick. It sounded like something was there. The scale is really amazing. So let me do this. I'm going to play item number 3 on the sheet. And when I wrote out that, I was thinking of Blue Bossa. These are actually the chord changes from half of Blue Bossa. Measures 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the last 4 measures of Blue Bossa are this 2, 5, 1 in C. So let me play the 2, 5, 1 for you. And then what I'll do is start playing that sound over top a little bit. So I'll play a little bit more consonant to begin with, and then I'll start adding it in. And I think you'll be able to hear what an interesting sound this is. So what do you think? It's a pretty cool sound. So I started out quoting the melody. I arpeggiated the chord just so you could get a sense of what was going on. But then you could hear that richness, or, now how do we talk about music? How do we talk about tension with sound? Yeah, it's tricky. But to me, there's a richness, there's a outness, it's interesting. What can I say? It's a very cool, interesting sound. And the pentatonic scale, when we get really comfortable with it, it gets us playing different shapes. There's all these fourths that live inside the pentatonic scale. That's something we could talk about on the webinar next Wednesday. Where are there fourths in the scale? Maybe you don't see them. Something to talk about. And so the idea is that this pentatonic scale, this organization of notes, we know some pentatonic licks. So for instance, the Sonny Rollins song, Sunny Moon for Two. Or how about the Horace Silver song, Song for My Father? And many hundred more songs. Those are melodies, and so now I could quote both those songs. I'll do it in a second for you. Quote those songs, but in an altered place over a dominant chord. It's very interesting. Let's give that a listen. Right, so some of those are longer 2-3 measure melodies that I had to fit into that one little measure, but you get the idea of how we can take an existing melody and recast it, play it over a different kind of chord, in a different place in that chord, highlighting sharp 9s and sharp 11s, all these notes that maybe you have been wrestling with or concerned about or scared with. And so now we have a way to use it. Now for some of you, I'm going to say 90% of you, this is maybe not the best way to spend your time. This is a cool idea. It gives you an insight in how pros think, and it's sort of an aspirational thing. You know your minor pentatonics, or you can learn them. You can figure out this upper minor third thing. But here's the thing. For many of you, is this the best way to spend the next 10 hours of your practice? Almost certainly not. So that's what we do when you come into Jazzwire. And when you come to Maryland Summer Jazz, I get to hear you play. You're going to send me recordings of yourself. You're going to be, by the way, a Jazzwire member before Maryland Summer Jazz, when you sign up for Maryland Summer Jazz. So the important thing is I get to know where you personally are at and what is the best thing for you to practice. I'm putting a video out on the internet. I don't know who's going to see it. I don't know if they're a beginner. I don't know if they're a pro. I don't know what they sound like when they play a blues usually, right? So all these things. So this is a cool idea. I think everybody understands it. But again, just that idea that I'm some guy on the internet and this may capture your attention, but it may not be the best way to invest your time. I would love to help you with that. So now, Maryland Summer Jazz. I'm really geeked out about this. The opportunity to include people from countries all around the world that wouldn't normally be able to fly here, and that expense and the hotels and all that kind of stuff. I'm so excited about a huge faculty of people now that we would never be able to get them. They're on tour every summer. Unfortunately, they're not on tour now, but they're excited about coming to work with you. There's only 40 spots. This is a very small, very intimate sort of setting. So make your way to Maryland Summer Jazz. I'll be telling you more about it coming up. But as I say, I think there's 22 spots left. They're going to go pretty quickly. So check it out. I really hope it's a good fit for you. And we will see you next time. Have fun with the minor pentatonic scale and experiment with this. See if you enjoy the sound. Take care.